next I'm going to show you how to plant a container like this. You can have this on your front deck, you can put it on the back deck, you can put it on the end of your driveway. With the ingredients of the potting soil, it should last you all season long. Compost, the worm castings, we have an organic fertilizer in there. The worm castings are really great for helping guard against plant wilt, and the fertilizer will continue to feed the flowers in here, and this should produce for you clear into October. I really like our Cedar Grove potting soil. Very, very good drainage. I think it's wonderful with the organic material in there. It's made locally by us. It has our compost in it, local worm castings. We do use peat moss and a little bit of cocoa fiber. Those also help with the drainage and creating the pore space that you need. I like to fill it up pretty full. I think your containers should be pretty full. I don't believe in the idea that you plant a container thinking it's all going to fill in. This has one season and you want it to look spectacular from the beginning to the end. So I like to when I'm planting a container, I like to think about what look I'm going after, and it's really good to have a focal point. So something that you want that's going to be tall, that's going to be in the center. It's always important to break up those roots. If you don't, the plant will die. Basically, they usually are root bound from being in here and the roots just going in a circle. Well, if you don't break them up, that's what they'll do. They'll just continue to go into a circle. So let's get this nice and deep in here. Beautiful white delphinium. What I like to do, the roots aren't too bad on this one, so I can just kind of smush it with my hands. A good way to think about putting your container together is thinking about all the different textures. So think different textures, different looks. You can mix your cool and warm colors, but it's really a good idea to try to stay within kind of the same palette. I like to work in threes, but I don't see another one back here. So here's we have our second story down there, and I feel like what we are going to need is a little bit of middle story in there. So that's kind of how I think about the container, and this is the front, and I like to think of it in different levels. So I'm going to stick some of this Guarara in here. This is a nice wispy flower. It's going to really look different against the petunias that we have in here, and then really different against the delphinium also. So we're going to get, now I hope I have 3, because I do like to work in odd numbers, and I do have 3. So we're going to get 3 of these in here, and this will look really pretty when you're looking at it from the front, because you'll be able to see the delphinium and then these pretty wispy pink flowers in the back. So make sure you break up the roots. It does not kill the plant, it doesn't hurt it. It actually allows the plant to really grow deeply into that soil. You really, really want that to happen. So we have something going on up here in the front. Let's see here. I think I'll add some of this stock. Stock is a beautiful plant, a beautiful flower. Again, break up the roots. Actually, I think I'm going to pop the stock back here, because I have a different idea of what I'd like to do with the front. I really, really think Cedar Grove potting soil is one of the best potting soils around. Really, it's nice and moist. It's not a dry soil. You know, we don't have any polymers in there to keep everything moist, because you really don't need to, because the compost is in there, and you have that good mix of those organics, which all the plants really love, and really, really adds a lot to the growing. So we're going to put this verbena in here, get it in here, kind of mixing it in, looking at these different color combinations. White in the Northwest is always a great idea, just because we have so much gray sky. And when you add white to a container, what happens, or even to your landscape, you draw your eye to that and it brightens it up. What was once like a flat color to you, just a little pop of white really can make a big, big difference. So I have this red. I'm going to pop him in here. He's an impatient, so it's probably not what you would generally put in a container that's for the sun, but I'm thinking he'll get a little shade back here, and I kind of want that contrast of color from the other side of the red going on there. Oh, and here we've got some Bacopa, which is one of my favorite annuals. It's really quite beautiful. Will bloom all summer long. Just really a nice addition to any container. So what we're going to do is we're going to just pop it in here, stick him in there. You know, plants generally have a front and back. A lot of people don't know that, but if you look at this, you can see this is the front of it. It's growing that way. So if you want to change the direction, you can, but it's generally, you know, to me, a good idea to work with what the plant's already liking to do, so you're all kind of on the same page there. So, okay, so we have some fiber optic grass. Sorry about that. It is really quite cool with these little balls on the end of it. Kind of glows at night. It's one of the really pretty grasses that just look kind of like give a totally different texture to the edge of this container that we have here. Kind of looks really quite cool. So we've got things going on in here. To me, the fuller the better. So let's see here. I can put some white alyssum in here. Usually it's a good idea to stick with, you know, one or two plant types that you like, or one or two colors, just so you're kind of working within kind of the same palette to make sure that you get some uniformity. So oops, I think I just broke that. So I really am trying to fill this in back here in the back, because I want you to be able to see these things coming around to the front of the flower. Always deadhead your containers. Great, keeps everything going. The whole deadheading process keeps things going for quite a long time. One thing about the petunias, they do not like water on their flower petals. They really don't like that. A lot of times they'll get really droopy. So when you water, it's a good idea to kind of move the foliage around and make sure you're getting into that soil. So we need something in the back there. And we have a lot of different options here. I would say some of the grass would look kind of cool popping out the back, which you're going to be able to see that from the front as it continues to grow in here. So I'll just kind of dig a hole in there, pop it in the back there, make sure everything's in there nice and securely. Sometimes, well, actually it's a really good idea after you get things planted to go in, kind of lift up the flowers and the leaves and make sure there's enough potting soil in there, just so everything's anchored into the container is what you really want. So here we have a beautiful container planted with Cedar Grove potting soil. Put it on the edge of your deck, by your front door, in your driveway. It's a beautiful addition to any landscape.